Daniel balanced Emma's backpack on one shoulder while trying to brush a few crumbs from her jacket. Morning rushes were always the same, messy, chaotic, but theirs. As they pushed open the glass door of the bakery, a warm wave of baked sugar and cinnamon rolled out, chasing away the cold sting of dawn. Emma skipped ahead toward their usual table. Daniel's eyes, however, went straight to the woman by the window. Maya was already there, always in the same seat. Always with a cup of plain coffee. Always wrapped in that oversized gray coat that looked like it belonged to someone else entirely. She sat with her shoulders curved inward, like she was afraid to take up space. Her fingers clutched the cup not for warmth, but for grounding, as if letting go would make her disappear. Some days her hands trembled. Some days she barely looked up. But she was always polite, soft-spoken, and quietly grateful for the little things Daniel did. He greeted her the way he always did, gentle and unobtrusive. "Morning, Maya." She lifted her eyes, offering a small, fleeting smile, the kind you could miss if you blinked. "Good morning, Daniel." "Hi, Emma." Emma beamed, hopping up on the chair beside her. "You're early today." Maya tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Couldn't sleep much." Daniel noticed the dark circles under her eyes, deeper than yesterday. A tightness pulled at his chest, but he didn't push. He'd learned that direct questions made her retreat. Instead, he waved to the cashier and mouthed, the usual. 2 croissants. 1 extra warm. When he placed the pastry in front of her, she hesitated. Every day she hesitated, as if accepting kindness had a cost she couldn't afford. "You don't have to," she murmured. "I know," he said simply. "But I want to." Her gaze softened, though sadness still clung to her like a shadow. She tore off a small piece of the croissant, almost reverently, as if it were something precious. Outside, the sky was still half dark, streaked with a pale blue that promised a long day. The bakery hummed quietly around them, the hiss of the espresso machine, the clink of dishes, the soft chatter of early risers. But at their little corner table, everything felt suspended, peaceful, fragile, delicate. Daniel watched as Emma proudly showed Maya a drawing of a cat wearing a crown. Maya laughed, a soft, light sound that made Daniel's heart twist. Moments like this were rare for her. He could see it, and he didn't know why yet, but he knew he wanted to protect that smile. Protect her, even from things she hadn't told him about. Because every morning, when she took the first bite of breakfast he brought, it felt less like he was feeding a stranger and more like he was slowly stitching together someone who had been torn apart. Daniel only realized something was wrong the moment he saw the folder lying beneath Maya's chair. It was thick, too thick to be just papers for a job or a housing application, and wrapped in a dark blue cover with crisp edges that did not match Maya's otherwise worn possessions. When he leaned down to pick it up, the weight of it surprised him. Heavy, structured, official. Emma was at the counter choosing a muffin, humming to herself, unaware of the sudden tension curling into Daniel's stomach. He placed the folder on the table, intending to hold it until Maya returned for it. But the corner flipped open slightly from the movement, revealing a page with clean legal formatting in bold black letters. A date, a judge's name, a custody case number, and a seal of a law firm he recognized only because they advertised on every billboard in the city, the kind of lawyers only the wealthy hired. He froze. Maya, custody case. His pulse picked up as he read the first visible line. Emergency private hearing. Client, Maya Thorne. He hadn't meant to read more. He shut the folder immediately, guilt stinging him, but not enough to drown out the fear creeping up his spine. Why would Maya have something like this? Why had she never mentioned a child? Why did the page look like she was the one in danger of losing everything? Before he could process any of it, the bakery door burst open with a rush of cold air. Maya hurried in, rain droplets still clinging to her hair and scarf, her breath uneven as if she had run the whole way. Her eyes searched frantically until they landed on the folder in Daniel's hands. All the color drained from her face. I must have left it," she whispered, nearly snatching it from his grasp. She clutched it tight to her chest, fingers digging into the edges. A tremor shot through her shoulders. "Maya," Daniel said softly, "is everything okay?" A single second. That's all it took for her expression to shift, fear replaced by something practiced, something she wore like armor. "I'm fine," she said too quickly. "You didn't open it, right?" Daniel hesitated. Her eyes filled with panic just from the pause. I didn't mean to, he said carefully. It flipped open on its own. She exhaled shakily, turning her face away as though embarrassed. Or terrified. Or both. Maya, if you need help. No. Her voice was sharp, then softened immediately, as though she regretted snapping. Daniel, please. I can't involve anyone. Especially you. He frowned. I'm already involved. I care about you. You know that. Her fingers tightened around the folder until her knuckles paled. She shook her head. You don't understand, she whispered. If they knew you even saw this, you could get dragged in. And I won't let that happen. They. Daniel echoed. Who are they? Her lips parted, but instead of answering, she glanced around the cafe as if expecting someone to burst through the door any moment. Maya, what's going on? He pressed gently. She lowered her voice, looking at him with a mixture of fear and apology. I'm in a fight I shouldn't win, she said. Against people who don't lose. Ever. She backed away a little, as though putting distance between them would protect him. Please, don't ask me about this again. Daniel wanted to insist, to tell her he could help, that she didn't have to face whatever this was alone. But she was already stepping back, retreating inside herself like a wounded animal expecting another blow. She held the folder against her chest as if it were her last lifeline. And in her eyes, Daniel saw something he had never seen on her before. Not exhaustion, not sadness, but raw, shaking fear. He knew then that whatever secret she carried was bigger than he imagined, and much, much closer to exploding. The morning was gray and heavy, clouds pressing down on the city like a warning. Maya hadn't shown up at the cafe at the usual time, and Daniel felt a subtle unease gnawing at the edges of his mind. Emma twirled a strand of her hair, sipping her cocoa, but even her innocent chatter couldn't mask the tension that had settled over him. Then the bell above the cafe door rang. Daniel looked up, relief washing over him. There she was. Maya hurried in, scarf damp, eyes darting to the floor. She scanned the room nervously, her coat clutched tightly around her. But the relief was short-lived. The cafe door swung open again, and this time, it wasn't the friendly chime of customers. 4 sharply dressed figures strode in with purpose, their polished shoes clicking against the tiled floor like a drumbeat of authority. The cafe fell into an uneasy silence as their eyes scanned the tables. The tallest of the group, a man with steel gray hair and an expression like carved stone, stopped dead in front of Maya. His gaze pinned her to her chair. Maya Thorne, he announced, voice cold, sharp enough to cut through the warm hum of the cafe. You've ignored our calls. We require your presence immediately. Maya's breath caught. She instinctively shrank back in her chair, fingers gripping the edge of the table. Her coffee cup rattled slightly under the tension, and her eyes flicked toward Daniel as if pleading silently for help. Without thinking, Daniel stepped forward, placing himself between her and the men. She's with me, he said, his voice firm and steady, even though his pulse was racing. Whatever this is, you're not scaring her in my presence. The man with gray hair raised an eyebrow, lips curling into a smirk. Mr. Ross, he said, glancing at Daniel, this woman is involved in a high-stakes legal matter. Protecting her may put you at risk. Maya's voice trembled as she leaned slightly behind Daniel. Please, don't let him get involved, she whispered. It's dangerous. Daniel shook his head slowly. I'm already involved, he replied. And I won't let anyone intimidate her. The attorneys exchanged quick glances, then one of them handed Daniel a sealed envelope, sliding it across the table toward him. Daniel's eyes widened as he saw the official letterhead. His name was printed clearly on the top. A summons. For him. Maya gasped, eyes wide with panic, as if the walls were closing in around them. The 4 lawyers didn't wait for explanations, they turned on their heels and exited as deliberately as they had entered, leaving the room tense and heavy with fear. Daniel looked down at the envelope, feeling the weight of the situation press against his chest. He glanced at Maya, whose hands were shaking as she clutched her coffee cup. We need to talk, he said softly, his voice steady but laced with concern. Now. Outside, the rain had started again, tapping against the windows in an urgent rhythm. But inside the cafe, Daniel knew one thing with absolute certainty. Whatever secret Maya carried, it was about to drag both of them into a world neither had expected. The moment they stepped outside the cafe, the cold rain seemed to wash away the faint warmth the morning had held. Maya pulled her scarf tighter around her neck, her hands trembling as she clutched the folder to her chest. Daniel walked beside her, shielding her from the chill, his mind racing. The envelope in his pocket felt heavier with each step, a tangible reminder that their lives were already entangled. Maya, he said gently, trying to meet her eyes, you need to tell me what's going on. I can't protect you if I don't know what we're up against. She shook her head, fear flashing across her features. You don't understand, it's not just a case. It's him, my ex-husband. He's powerful, dangerous. He'll do anything to get what he wants. Daniel's jaw tightened. I don't care who he is. Nobody threatens you in front of me. Maya looked down at the ground, her voice barely above a whisper. You already are involved, Daniel. That summons, it's for you too. They know you've been helping me. If you step further into this, you could be in real danger. He stopped and looked directly at her. Then I'll be careful. But I won't leave you alone. Not now, not ever. For a moment, she just stared at him, the rain dripping from her hair, the weight of her secret pressing down on her like a storm cloud. Then she finally spoke, voice trembling but steadying. He's not just fighting for custody, he's trying to punish me. He wants to take everything from me, my son, my life, and he won't stop. Daniel's grip tightened on her arm. Then we fight. Together. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't pull away. She knew he meant it. She had never trusted anyone like this before. A sudden honk from a car pulled them both out of their conversation. Daniel handed her the folder. We need to get this somewhere safe. They're not done yet, Maya. Not by a long shot. She nodded, swallowing hard, the first real sign of determination replacing the fear. Okay, she said. But we have to be smart. If he finds out I'm with you, everything could fall apart. Daniel looked at her and gave a small, reassuring smile. Then we make sure that doesn't happen. I won't let him win. Not you, not your son. For the first time in months, Maya felt a flicker of hope. It was fragile, but it was real. And in that moment, she realized that Daniel wasn't just helping her out of kindness anymore. He was choosing to stand by her, even when the danger was real, even when the world seemed to be against them. And for the first time, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't have to face it alone. They ducked under the awning of a narrow alley to escape the sudden drizzle, the rain now a steady drum against the pavement. Maya clutched the folder tightly, her knuckles white, as she glanced up at Daniel with a mixture of fear and relief. Her chest rose and fell in rapid, shallow breaths, and for a moment, all the courage she had tried to muster faltered. I should have told you sooner, she whispered, her voice breaking. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. Not you, not Emma, not anyone. Daniel shook his head gently, brushing a damp strand of hair from her face. Maya, none of that matters right now. What matters is that you're safe and that your son, your family, we protect them. She looked down at the folder and then back at him, eyes shimmering with unshed tears. It's not just a folder, she said. It's everything. My son, the evidence I've hidden against my ex-husband. If it falls into the wrong hands, I'll lose him forever. Daniel's jaw tightened. He thought of the morning they'd spent together in the cafe, the quiet smiles, the shared glances, the small crumbs of trust they had built over time. Now, the stakes were higher than ever. But one thing was clear, he would not let her face this alone. We'll fight this, he said firmly. I don't care how powerful he is or how many lawyers he sends. We'll make sure he doesn't get what he wants. And I'll be with you every step of the way. Maya's lips trembled. You don't understand, he's ruthless. He'll stop at nothing. Daniel took a step closer, lowering his voice but letting every ounce of determination show. I understand enough. And you're not facing him alone. Ever. For the first time, Maya allowed herself to breathe a little easier, though the storm around them, both literal and metaphorical, had not yet passed. She realized that in Daniel, she had found more than a friend. She had found an ally, a protector, someone whose heart and courage matched her own desperation. She glanced at Emma, waiting at the cafe doorway, unaware of the danger, a small smile playing at her lips. And then back at Daniel, who had never wavered, never hesitated, never doubted. I don't know how to thank you, she whispered. You don't have to, Daniel replied softly. Just trust me. That's enough. And in that quiet, rain-soaked alley, a fragile alliance solidified into something stronger, a bond forged not just in kindness, but in courage, trust, and the unspoken promise to face whatever darkness lay ahead together. As they walked back toward the street, the city looming wet and gray around them, Maya realized something she hadn't allowed herself to hope for. Maybe, just maybe, she had finally found someone who would fight beside her. Not for money, not for fame, but because it was the right thing to do. And for the first time in a long while, she felt like she might survive.